Trike Traveler here. For the first inaugural ride of this channel, I joined OregonEbikeMark's group ride of the Fanno Trail going from Tigard to Beaverton. I highly recommend that you go check out OregonEbikeMark's channel and the video he did of this ride. Links to those down in the description below. Enjoy the ride with some music, but stay till the end because there is some cool stuff that happens near the end. Actually, hold on.
Okay.
Nope.
What's the best way to get
Stand up. Best way to get in is to step like so, back into it.
That way your feet are up.
Yes.
Feet are up here. Okay. All right, then just sit down.
Yep.
Oh man. Cool. All right, you just kind of lay back.
Lay back.
Is there a reverse on this?
There's no reverse on that thing.
So,
okay, so
how do we unlock the brakes?
okay, so the way you unlock the brakes is just like that.
Just
yep.
All right, yeah. All right.
So I'll go ahead and pull you back.
Okay, here we go.
So let go of the brakes.
Okay.
That should be good enough.
Okay.
And forward on the gears is higher gear, back is lower gear.
Okay. Yeah, this is comfortable.
Yeah?
And the motor's on?
The motor's not on.
That's not? Alright. It goes. Wow, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's actually really cool.
It's going pretty fast
It's
on that.
probably the most comfortable you're ever going to be on a bike.
Yeah.
You got to try it, Mark. I like it. Okay. We'll push you back. Okay. Let's see here. Can I just grab it right here?
Oh, well, he can actually, he'll be able to turn around perfectly fine.
I might have stopped in the higher gear.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, sorry.
Is it hard to steer that?
No, it's actually really easy.
Well, the faster you go, the harder it gets to steering. And the reason that is because of the way they designed it. It sticks to the ground really good.
So is that,
They come like that.
I wanted to do this homemade.
No, that's professionally made in Florida.
We had the motor put on there by a shop.
So what was what's the bike name again?
It is a Trike Expedition.
Cat Trike.
Yeah, you got it on the shirt. Cat Trike.
Oh, okay.
Yep, because Trike hosted the Trike Fest, which is what the shirt's from.
Okay. And there's no motor on?
No motor.
This thing is nice.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Mark.
Next bike.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a Trike once you're done riding this thing.
Yeah, I like it. It's
surprisingly fast.
yeah. I can't imagine with the motor on there.
Oh, with the motor on there, like I said, I got this on flats going up 45 miles an hour.
Dang. Yeah, really cool.
Cruising.
So what do you think, Mark? You think that's going to be your next bike?
It's better than I thought.
Yeah, it's definitely better.
Impressive. I see these guys riding them all the time. I'm thinking, oh my god, I don't think I'd want to ride. Yeah.
And now what do you think now that you've ridden one?
Yeah, that's doable.
Because the guys I usually see riding them are like older guys, you know?
Well, okay, so that's the funny thing. You think older guys, but in the group I ride with, the age ranges from 20s all the way up into your 60s, 80s, and 90s.
Right, okay.
And so age range really doesn't matter. I mean, there's a guy that I lived with in, or that I lived near, that showed me his Trike, and he was in his 20s, and he loved it just because on the flats and downhills, it's way faster.
Yeah, I would see that.
I think the number one thing is just it's super comfortable.
Oh, no
You
back
could ride that
pain,
thing,
no
yeah.
neck pain, no wrist
I
pain.
could ride that probably all
For a
day.
long, nice
I've ridden this 12 hours
I can believe it.
and got up and felt like I could do another 12 hours.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, it's not hard,
So-
hard on your butt, you know.
No, you're
That
comfortable.
Grizzly's terrible.
That's why they call these these recliners.
Okay, yeah.
They're lawn chair bikes.
They're lawn chair bikes, yeah.
That's what it feels
You
like.
know,
That's a perfect
I mean,
name
heck,
for it.
there's a headrest for these called a Finder recliner.
As long as you can get on and off of it, because I can see some people where they have a struggle getting out of it.
Well, and the great thing is the company that makes these trikes, right here, they have an attachment that brings up and has arm assist so you can pull yourself out of the trikes.
Okay.
And this trike is a lower sitting trike. They have trikes that sit up, seat high.
Okay, cool.
And this is just one company, and there's a bunch of companies out there. There's HP Velotechnic, there's ICE, there's AZUB, TerraTrike.
So you could get some kind of a cover here for.
That's what I was saying.
A sunshade, yes. There's companies that make sunshades. There's companies that make fairings.
Aaron was telling me about it's like
Yeah.
a windshield that goes over.
Yeah, in fact,
Yeah, the
this
front all over.
this bar right here and this bar right here are made by a company called T-Cycles, as they're also known, or it's TerraCycle, and TerraCycle is actually based here in Portland.